Hello class. This lecture is on Microsoft PowerPoint Module 13. It's the first in 3 lectures for Microsoft PowerPoint. In this lecture, we're going to talk about how to open and view a presentation, how to create a new presentation, how to enter and format slide text, how to apply a theme, how to add and modify an online image, add and modify shapes. We're going to learn to create smart art and learn to insert a table into a PowerPoint presentation. So for starters, and I'm going to put this in presentation mode. PowerPoint is a presentations graphics application that allows you to create dynamic slides, and a slide is something that will display a sequence of full screen, or excuse me, a slideshow will display a sequence of full screen slides on a computer, and then those slides can contain text, graphics, sound, and video. Basically, PowerPoint is a professional visual aid type of application. You may recall when you were in elementary school or middle school or maybe even high school, you may have had to have some type of visual aid for a book report or some type of project. Well, basically, PowerPoint, in my opinion, is a professional version of a visual aid application. It's typically used to, it contains bullet points like the ones you see on the screen that we're looking at now. And if I haven't pointed it out, the software that I'm using to create these lectures and that I'm speaking from is Microsoft PowerPoint. But most PowerPoint presentations will include bullet points, some type of graphic, whether it's images, charts, tables, a lot of different types of information that can be used to help make your point or help communicate your point in a presentation. Okay, so to open and view a presentation, there's several ways to do this, just like with any other Microsoft application. So first off, let's start by opening and viewing a presentation. So I'm going to escape from full screen mode. If you have PowerPoint open, you can click the File tab. You have New, which will allow you to create a new presentation. And if you'll notice, I've got a blank presentation option, which will allow me to start from scratch. But I also have several templates that will allow me to start a presentation that has already been formatted based on some theme or some level of formatting. I guess I can pick any one that I like, and then really at that point all I have to do, or all the user has to do, is input the data, input the specifics. So that's how you would start a new presentation. To open an existing presentation, you would simply click the Open link here, and you can see I've got a list of PowerPoint presentations that I have viewed on this computer in the past. So that's how you would open an existing presentation. Okay. All right. So now, how to view a presentation. There are several ways. Normal view is divided into 2 panes, the slide pane and the thumbnail pane, and that's the view that we're looking at now. This is the slide pane on the right. This is the thumbnail view on the left. You can see all the slides in the presentation are listed in the thumbnail view, the thumbnail pane. Outline view, we'll go to the View tab, look at Outline view. You can see it has all of the text in the presentation formatted in an outline view. Makes it maybe a little easier to read, a little easier to format. You don't have to go from slide to slide looking to see what is on that slide. You can just simply see the text or the whatever the data is on that slide in this view. So that's outline view. Slide sorter view is just that. It's a view that allows you to rearrange the slides in the presentation. I can click and drag and change the order of slides in this view. It's a good way to reorder slides. Say maybe once you've finished your presentation and you're not sure that you've got things in the correct order, you can use slide sorter view to move those slides around. Let's see. Let's go back to slide 5 where we were. Slideshow view. That's simply where we were a minute ago. Go slideshow from current slide. That slideshow view, basically it's full screen. Okay. Reading view. So if we go back to the view tab, reading view is here. And it looks very similar to slideshow view. It just allows you to view in full screen mode. You can use the arrows at the bottom of the screen to advance, and if you want to escape out of it, you just simply click escape. And then the notes page view lists a view of the slide with any notes that you may have included as a presenter. Right, and we'll get to notes, what presenter notes are in just a little bit. Alright, so those are different ways to view a presentation. So I'm going to go back into full screen mode and move on to the next slide. Alright, so we talked about how to create a new presentation already, so I'm not going to repeat that. You can choose a blank presentation, or you can choose one using a template. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is for each new slide that you add, you can select a layout, which is an arrangement of placeholders. So let's talk about that. So I've got my presentation already started. Let's just use this one as an example, and I want to insert a new slide. So on the Home tab, there's a New Slide button. I can click New Slide, and it will give me a new slide that is in the same format as the one that I've currently have selected, or I can click the arrow and I can select from all of the options. So for this particular theme in this presentation, there's a title slide available, a section header available, a title and content slide available, a title only, and then a blank slide available. So those are the layouts that are available within the theme that we're using for this presentation. So I'm going to select title and content. Okay, now you can see that there are placeholders on this slide. Up here would be for the title, so I would click there, type my title, whatever my title is. And I would also, if I wanted to add any content, I could click here. Now you can click here to add text, and I can type bullet points. You can see it's already got a bullet point started for me there. So if I was to type a word like test, press enter, now I've got bullet points. Okay. If I want to add a different type of content, like a table, a chart, smart art, an image or a picture, or an online image, which is basically the only difference between an image and an online image is where the photo is stored, where you're going to pull it from, and then or insert video. We can do that as well. So those are placeholders, and you're going to find those anytime that you start a new slide. Okay, so let's go back to our slideshow. We are going from the current slide, going to the next slide. Alright, so enter and format slide text. So you can enter text on a slide in the slide pane or an outline view. Either one of those is where you would input text or enter text. And if you work in the slide pane, it shows you exactly how the text will look on the slide. Outline view can be useful when you have a lot of text to edit or rearrange. And when we say a lot of text, we mean multiple slides. We don't like a lot of text on a slide. It's and I'll kind of go ahead and speak to this now. But the PowerPoint again is a visual aid. It's not something that you're going to write a lot of paragraphs or big blocks of text in a presentation. It's just simply, less is more in PowerPoint, in my opinion, particularly when you're using it to present. You want to enter, you want to use the bullet point format like what you see on the screen, put a brief statement, and then whoever the presenter is would kind of voice over any additional detail. So it's not for writing, a book. It's more of a thought, and then you elaborate on that thought is how it should be perceived and used. And then the last bullet point on this slide, a placeholder containing text, a graphic, or a table is an editable object on the slide that you can move and resize, and that's exactly what we talked about here. These are placeholders. This is where you would perform the edits and things of that nature. Now, this slide we mentioned, you can enter text on a slide in the slide pane or in outline view. And that working on the slide pane shows you exactly how the text will look on the slide. So, for example, you see this slide that's present on the screen. I can edit right here. I can change any text that I want, and when I'm done, the view that I have here will be exactly what it's going to look like when I go to full screen mode, as you can see there. So that's what we mean. And it's probably best to work in this view, which is the normal view. You can see the view tab or normal view, because it gives you an idea, or not an idea, it demonstrates exactly what your slide is going to look like as a finished product. Okay. All right, so go back to full screen mode, and let's move on to the next slide. Applying a theme. So themes are kind of a predetermined set of formatting applied to a PowerPoint presentation, and it's a theme because it runs throughout the presentation. You can see the theme of this slideshow has the Cengage Learning logo at the bottom. It has a legal disclaimer at the bottom. It has an image at the top at the title. All of the text and bullet points are formatted the same, so that's a theme. All of that is the same throughout the presentation. But some of the advantages of applying a theme is it will give it a professional look. And once you apply a theme, you can choose a color variant for a more distinctive appearance, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. And then lastly, you want to choose a theme that matches the presentation of your matches your presentation content. So the last bullet point means that if you're speaking about something very serious in nature, then you wouldn't want to have a presentation that looked as if it was making light of it. If it was, I would say maybe a quarterly report or a some type of production review of some type that was showing negative trends, you wouldn't want to include a bunch of smiley faces or anything like that. You want it to kind of be a serious tone. You want it to match the message that you're trying to deliver. Because PowerPoint, it's like a visual aid. It's supposed to help you make your point, make the audience understand better or easier the point that you're trying to communicate. Okay, so back to the second bullet point, a theme with a color variant. So if we go to the Design tab, that's where we'll find our themes. And you can see our themes are present here. There is a theme library. You have several themes that are available, and there's also more themes available to download off the internet. You can go to office.com and order them, but you can see there's several themes available. And anytime that I hover over one, it will change the theme and give it a preview of what it'll look like. You can see in the background my slide is changing. Okay, so let's say I wanted to choose that theme, the blue, but I didn't particularly care for, or I wanted to choose this format, but I didn't particularly care for the blue. So I could apply that theme, and I could go over to my variants group and find one that maybe I did like. Let's say red. Okay, and in a second it'll change to red, and there's that red theme that I just applied. So it has the theme, the font, the formatting, everything that the one that we selected in the themes library had, but we changed the color variation. So you can do that. And I'm going to put my theme back the way it was. Okay, now. And I just simply did that by pressing Control and Z, which is the undo feature in any Microsoft Office application, twice to undo the two actions that I did. You can also use the undo feature up here at the very top in the Quick Start menu by clicking the drop down arrow. The arrow pointing to the left is undo, the arrow pointing to the right is redo. So if I wanted to go back one step, if I undid one too many actions, I could redo that last action. Okay, but you can see it has a list. The undo feature has a list of all of these actions that I've taken since I've had this presentation open. Okay, back to full screen mode. All right, so using a template. So a template and a theme are very similar, pretty much the same thing, except the template is one that you're going to start with. When we were on the new file tab earlier, we went to file and new. We had all those options. Those are templates, and you're going to find pretty much the same thing that you see with themes in your template file. Okay, but a template contains all the theme elements plus and or guidance for specific types of presentations. So that's really the difference. It has some additional guidance that you can use for a particular type of presentation. And templates are organized into topics for your convenience. And you can select templates when you first create the presentation. So the difference between a theme and a template is something you would select at the beginning of the presentation when you first start. And it contains some additional guidance for specific types of presentations. Okay. All right. So let's see. Adding and modifying an online image. We'll move on to the next topic. So anytime we're working with an image or really any object in Microsoft Office, they all have their particular functions and features that are specific to them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to insert an image. We will go to, let's create a new slide for title and content. All right, so there's several ways to insert an image. I can use the shortcut that's already included in the placeholder portion of this new slide. I can also go to the Insert tab, click Picture, and I can insert an image from there. Now, if you'll notice, the icon here for pictures and the icon here for pictures is the same thing. So basically, it's a shortcut to perform the same function or feature wherever you are, whichever one you select to choose. So we're going to use the shortcut here. It'll open up a dialog box. And let's see. We're going to go to Public Pictures and find a photo. Let's see. All right, so in my pictures library, I've got a sample picture. I'm going to insert. All right, this is a picture of a desert backdrop. All right, so you'll notice that when the picture is inserted, or when the image is inserted, there are the image is selected. You've got resizing handles around the perimeter. You've also got a handle to rotate the image if you so wish. Okay, we want to get it back to square. There it is. So if I want to reposition the image, I can simply click the image and drag. Hold the left mouse key, just click and drag. If I want to increase the size, I will make sure the image is selected. You've got the resizing handles around the perimeter, and you always more than likely want to click and drag from a corner, because what that does is it keeps the aspect ratio of the image intact. And what I mean by that is if we don't use that handle, then we're trying to match the size of the width and height ourselves, and we may not be able to get it exactly. Okay, so by using the corner handle, we can click and drag, and everything kind of increases at the same ratio. All right, so that's how we insert, resize, reposition an image. There are also some additional features. Let's see. That we're going to get to in just a minute. Let's see. So that's how we insert an image off of your hard drive. Let's talk about how to insert an online image. So an online image, let's delete, click the link for an online picture. The search box for Bing will show up, which is basically a link to Microsoft search engine. Since it's a Microsoft application we're using, we're definitely going to be directed to their search engine. So let's go to, I don't know, let's say football. Let's just look up an image of a football online. Press enter. Bing will search, and it will bring us back an image of a football. So let's select that image, and we're going to insert that image. Okay. Now we have an image of a football. And we can reposition, resize. We can spin the image however we want. If we want to give it that view, we can do that. Okay. Basically the same thing. The difference between there is no difference between a regular image stored on your hard drive and an online image once we've got the image embedded in the PowerPoint presentation. You can resize it, move it around however you wish. Okay. All right. So we covered all of these items. We demonstrated how to use keyword for an online search. Special effects to enhance any image. Let's touch on that. We did not do that. So let's say we want to add a special effect. So once the image is selected, you're always going to want to have the image selected, and when you do have the image selected, you'll see that you have a contextual tab for picture tools that has a lot of formatting options. You have picture effects here. We can add shadows, a beveled edge to the photo, things of that nature. There's also some artistic effects. You can see here's an example of one at the very bottom, glow edges. So that changes the appearance of the image. There is this image that I'm hovering over, a cement image, gives it a very different view. Let's see. If we use, let's take a look at this one, plastic wrap, you can see it gives it a different image. So point is once you get the image in there, in the file in the presentation, there are several different effects or features that you can apply to the image. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Let's see, adding and modifying shapes. So similar to an image, we can add and modify shapes in PowerPoint. And once you add a shape to a slide, you can change its appearance by modifying its style, outline, and feel by applying shape effects. You can also instantly add text to a shape and format it. So let's give an example of that. So it's going to delete our football. We're going to go to the Insert tab, look for some shapes that we want to insert. We mentioned a smiley face a while ago, so we'll add a smiley face. And you'll notice when I click the smiley face, nothing happens except my cursor turns to a cross or to a plus. So that tells me that I'm ready to click and drag and insert my image. Now, this doesn't look like your ordinary smiley face. So what we're going to do is we're going to format it, change the fill to yellow. Now it's starting to look more like a smiley face. We're going to right click and we're going to edit the text. Now you say, what text? There's not any text, but there in the shape there is a default text box included, and you can see that the text is has a font color of white, which makes it very hard to see. So we're going to format that, right click the font color, we're going to change it to black, and now we have some text to go along with our shape. And there are lots and lots of shapes that you can insert. There's all different types of things. We've got here's a sun. It looks like an image of a sun there. There's a lot of different things that you can do with shapes in Microsoft PowerPoint. But to insert them, go to the Insert tab, select shape, find the shape that you want, and then once you get it selected, you can edit it however you choose. Alright, so that's how we we added and modified shapes on that slide. Let's go to slide 14, creating smart art. So smart art creates a professional looking diagram, and you can convert text to smart art. Smart art includes many layouts from which to choose, and then once created, a smart art graphic can be modified just as you can with any other object. So let's go back to our slide example here. We're going to remove our shapes. And we're going to insert from the Insert tab, Smart Art. Click Smart Art, and it'll give us a lot of choice. You can see there's a lot of categories, and then within each category there's a lot of options. So for example, I like to use the cycle example. So this image is a cycle, and the one I like to use is since this cyclical, excuse me, finally got it out, image represents something you might, if you're familiar with the recycle image on the bottom of a plastic ball or something like that, looks similar to that. That's a cyclical process, right? That's a piece of smart art that it's an image, but it also kind of gives you information. So here we're going to use that same manufacturing and recycling process for plastic as a demonstration. So we're going to first say manufacture raw plastic. Let's see, backspace. We're going to then make bottles. This is going to be very simplistic. Once we make the bottles, we're going to fill the bottles with water. Once we fill the bottles with water, we're going to sell to customers. When the customer is done, recycle the bottle. Okay, and once we recycle the bottle, we'll take that, it'll go back to the manufacturing facility, and they'll make plastic again, and then they'll make bottles and they'll fill them with water, and just a cyclical process. Okay, so that's an example of what Smart Art can do for you. There's a lot of different types of Smart Art. There's some really good ones. So for example, hierarchy. If you've ever had to create an organizational chart, or if you ever do in the future, you can simply insert one of these pieces of Smart Art, and then you can add the names. Let's see, let me delete my cyclical process, and let's insert that hierarchical chart. Alright, so here's an example of what an organizational chart might look like. You just add the names, the CEO's name, the CFO's name, the CIO's name, whoever is in the organizational structure. You would use that. And input that information. So Smart Art's a pretty neat visual aid, something that I really like and I use myself. All right, and let's see. Let's take a look at, that was 14. We included everything there. The types of Smart Art, I'm not going to read this table to you, but table 13-2 in your textbook lists all the types of Smart Art and what they're used for. Slide 16, we're going to talk about inserting a table. So a table, this is the same type of table that we use in Microsoft Word. Let's go ahead and insert another new slide here. We're going to use the Add Insert Table shortcut, and once we click that, it's going to ask us the number of columns and rows we want. So we want 5 columns, 2 rows. So there is our table. We can definitely add rows by selecting. We can insert rows and delete rows just like we could a table in Microsoft Excel. We just insert below. Now we've got another row. If I want to insert another row, I can click insert again and insert another row below. So once you highlight the table, you again have the same features and functions that you did in Microsoft Office and Excel. You've got styles, table styles that you can apply in PowerPoint. You've got shading and borders that we can add. There's all the different types of features that we used in Microsoft Word and Excel are available if you need to insert a table into PowerPoint. Okay. Alright, so let's go on to adding slide footers. Alright, so I'm going to go back to full screen. Alright, so header and footers in PowerPoint are very similar to the headers and footers we've used in Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. Footer, of course, appears at the bottom of the slide, and then you want to select the slide on which you want the footer to appear. You'll click the Insert tab and then click the Header and Footer button, and once you click the Slide tab and click the check boxes next to the items that you want to include, I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. And then you click the Apply button to add the footer to the selected slides, or click Apply to All to add it to the slides in your presentation. So, go to Insert, Header and Footer, and you'll see that there's already a footer applied to these slides that we're viewing, and it's that legal disclaimer that I mentioned earlier. So that's the footer. You can see at the bottom here, there's the footer. Okay, if I were to escape out of that, go into full presentation mode, here is the footer right here. It's that legal disclaimer at the bottom. Okay, so let's go back and take a look. We can add the date and time to the slides by checking a box. We can add a slide number to the slides by checking a box. And then we can simply choose to apply to the slide that we have selected, which in this case would be slide 18, or we can apply to all and it'll apply to every slide. Now, one other point I want to make while we're here is this is on your slide in the slides. There is a notes and handouts view that you can apply a header and a footer to that will only show up in the notes view. So if I wanted to put test footer apply to all, you'll notice that there is no footer here that says test footer. Okay, it's not in this. You can't see it because we're not in the correct view. If we go to the correct view with the notes page, now you see test footer. Okay, so that notes and handouts footer or header will only appear when you're in the notes view. Okay, slide view, notes and handouts view. That's the difference. So if you run into that, you may, if you're asked to add a header or a footer in the notes and handouts, you have to go to the notes view to make sure that that header or footer did in fact insert into your slide. Okay. All right, and that's the last slide for this presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know.